All right, in this lecture, we're going to be going over edge control. Now, edge control is really important to master in order to make your paintings look professional and not sloppy, okay? So, what edge control means is being able to control the edge of your brush between just being really sort of amateurish and, splotchy to being able to blend accurately between a hard edge and a soft edge. So, we're going to be using, let's go with just a round brush. Actually, we're going to do two different things. First, we're going to start with the airbrush here, okay? So I'm going to be using a soft airbrush, okay? So when we're talking about edge control, what we mean is controlling the edge of our brush, right? So right now, we have a very crisp edge around this shape. And when I paint over here, if I wanted to shade this, I'm clearly going outside the edge. And even if I try and keep it reined in, a little bit's going to go out, or it's not going to quite match up perfectly. So there's a couple ways we can manage edge control. One is just to select the shape, which will make it so that our brush stays directly inside of that shape and we don't have to worry about it going outside of that. Okay, there's one way to manage edge control. Okay, another way, let's say we wanted to do edge control on the inside of the shape, right? Like maybe we want to shade this shape here. Okay, well, there's a couple things. We can either, instead of just selecting the whole thing, use our selection tool and select it manually, okay, which is one way, but with the selection tool being so precise, it might not end up working out exactly how we want, okay? Or the best way, honestly, in my opinion, is to just get really practiced at doing it by hand. So for this lecture, I'm going to go ahead and undo that. For this lecture, your goal is to practice from hard edges to soft edges, okay? So for example, this along where the bottom of the sphere is going to be what we call a hard edge, okay? And if you need to, you can use an eraser to work things out, but our goal is to blend hard edges and soft edges in order to really get these shapes that we're trying to achieve, okay? So there's one. Let's do this one as well. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my airbrush, go bring it down a bit, just so I can, oh, you know what, let's do this actually. We're going to use our airbrush paintbrush using the green. We're just going to paint over a little bit to really make sure we nail those shapes. There we go. Looks pretty good. And come back to my paintbrush. We can also do down here. Oh, we'll bring it back to the color we had before. And do a similar thing, right? And then we can use our airbrush tool again to fade that back. Now when you're doing this assignment, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take this shape and you're going to practice your edge control. You want to really focus on the transitions between smooth and sharp edges. Okay? That's what your goal is. Okay. Now let's say, for example, we wanted the ball to sort of blend, right? Have not such a sharp edge. Okay? All you have to do for that is just start blending it out. Let's get a little bit smaller brush size. Then we can get our eraser tool. Or sorry, not our eraser tool. We're gonna paint with the green again. I'll fill that out right there. Okay. And you could just keep working it until you get that sort of blend that you're looking for. Now it's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of practice to really nail it and get it to look accurate. But you really want to just keep working until it feels like there's a little bit more of a blend there. Okay, and you can use a smudge tool too if you want. Okay, we just want to see if we can make some different transitions here between soft and hard edges. Okay, so you can see it makes it feel like it has a little bit more texture. Same here, if we come up here in the shadow area and we paint in a little bit of a hard edge on the top side with more of a soft edge on the bottom side, it's going to feel like we have a ridge running along this. Okay, you can see what I'm talking about. So hard edge on top, soft edge on bottom, where that form starts to fade away. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so that's your assignment. Go through this, take this image, and I want you to try and practice mastering your hard edges, soft edges. So go along each of the creases where there's a new sphere that sort of intersects into another one, right? You can see how I've made these ball shapes and they all kind of connect. I want you to go through and find all of those and create transitions between hard edges and soft edges there. Okay, you can make a new layer, and instead of doing it on the same layer, if you want, like I did, just make a new one. It's however you want to do it, but what you're really focusing on is the edge control. Okay, that's the main goal. Cool, so hopefully that makes sense. Oh, and then the last thing also, on top of that, I want you to go through and try to put some texture and some, different shapes into here, right? So how I did kind of like these ribbing, come in, you can make holes in the object, right? And as long as you're focusing on that control between soft and hard edges, you should be fine for this assignment in doing that. Okay? And you don't even need to use, I'm not even using any highlights here really. If I wanted to, I could, go darker on some parts and do stuff like that, but you don't have to do that, right? If you want to, you can just keep it with these two tones like I'm doing, and you just want to make sure that things look crisp and clean, right? It's going to take you probably a couple tries to really get this to feel right and look smooth like mine. But that's okay. That's why you're doing it. So just keep practicing, right? Focusing on making it deliberate, okay? Being able to put those shapes in there. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. Be sure to post this in the Facebook group, post it in the Q&A if you have questions. I know this one can be kind of difficult to jump into, especially if you're new. So be sure to post in the Q&A. I can comment and answer and give you feedback, as well as anyone else who's also working on this specific assignment at the same time. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one.